It is Steve, your friendly neighborhood lawn gnome. Welcome back to another episode of Stats, Trends, and Picks over here on That's Comical. And if you're watching and it happens to be a Wednesday, happy new comic book day. Well, it's definitely shaping up to be a very interesting year right now in regards to comic books. I mean, of course, we're still focusing on the state of the comic book industry, in particular now with what's going on with Diamond Distributors. At this point in time, a lot of the big names and even some of the independents have actually steered clear from that distribution company. There's also rumors about who's going to be buying the company, possibly who is going to take the rights for Free Comic Book Day moving forward. But for me personally, right now it seems that in regards to comic books getting to my store on time, the only company that I personally need to focus on is what's going on with Dynamite Entertainment. They're still pretty much locked in over at Diamond, and the part that really upsets me is the fact that a lot of my current books that are some of my favorites are part of Dynamite. Mostly the nostalgic properties, the classic cartoons and such, are all part of the Dynamite label, so I do have to wait a little bit for some of those titles to arrive. But there was Comics Pro Convention recently, and a lot of big announcements, particularly with the fact that the heads of DC and Marvel have announced that later on in 2025, those two companies are going to be collaborating for the first time since the 90s with a couple of one-shots. Don't know if this is going to be fun or if this is going to be a desperate cry for help, because it seems that that's what Marvel is all about. DC is still definitely trying to do what they can with their all-in initiative, and a lot of people seem to be really enjoying it. But I, for one, will say in regards to the DC Marvel stuff, you know, who's writing it, who's doing the artwork, and if that's going to be something that I'm interested in, I'll definitely check those out. So let's start with the numbers. It definitely is starting to shape up to be a good year so far. I was expecting to get a lot more books in February of 2025, but due to a lot of things that were rescheduled and due to the Diamond situation, I ended up getting a little less than I thought, about 48 books. I was really shocked. I thought at one point I was getting like 60 books, and, you know, this is where it is. And a lot of those books that had to be rescheduled, unfortunately, were part of the Image label and also the other conglomerate, which is why DC is very much in charge in this month, as they were very much doing a good job in January. But still, I like the fact that there has been 10 plus in the other conglomerate, which is wonderful, and the fact that Marvel is still struggling. Now, there have been some interesting announcements that Marvel has made. One of them is the fact that in the summer, Chip Zdarsky is officially going to be starting a Captain America run. I, for one, don't know how to feel about it, but what I definitely am thinking about is possibly purchasing the first issue to see if I actually like it and if I want to read on. But at this point in time, it's still, with me, the DC All-In Initiative. I'm going to be deciding now if I'm going to be sticking with the current 3 absolute titles, and the fact that 3 more absolute titles are coming in March and April, so we'll see where that all goes. And also in the summer, there's going to be a big announcement from the Marvel Ultimate Universe, so another thing that I could personally be excited about, but I don't know how much. So when we take a look at the percentages, of course, over 30% went to DC, a little over 20% went to other, and Image got under 30%, which is wonderful. The chart is still relatively bland, but it's definitely going to start shaping up soon because, you know, we're still very much early into the year, but DC and Image are still at the very top, fighting neck and neck, and Other is still very much consistent, and I think that that's how it's going to be moving forward. So how did we fare in the month of February? We definitely had some interesting things take place, and some very big surprises, which makes me very happy. When we take a look at the book that I thought was going to be the #1 pick in the first week of February of 2025, I was planning to give it to Rick Remender's The Sacrificers, issue number 14 over at Image Comics. This was definitely one of the better reads of the week, but it actually went to a book that was supposed to get into my hands a few weeks prior, but due to the whole situation with Diamond, I didn't get this book until that week, and it just ended up being much better than The Sacrificers, and that was the 6th issue of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles over at IDW, Jason Aaron's book, the end of the first story arc, and we now officially have a steady artist in Juan Ferreira, and I really enjoyed where this arc ended. I was not really sure how I was feeling about this book at the very beginning, but now the story is really starting to take shape. It's a very dark, gritty story, which I love, and I've already read the 7th issue, and that was really good too. So I've got to say that Jason Aaron is definitely finding his renaissance. He has officially come out of the primordial ooze, and he is back to writing truly great stuff. And if you have not started reading this new arc of Ninja Turtles, I really highly recommend it. For the second week of February, I thought it was going to go to Image Comics again and go to Feral issue number 10, the end of the second story arc by Tony Fleecs, Trish Foshner, and Tone Rodriguez. It did, but there was a big surprise. There was a tie. So, I think as a comic collector, one of my favorite things is when you are unsure about a title and you basically wait till the day of, and if it's there sitting on the rack at your store and you think this is your opportunity and you're hoping that it's going to be a big read, you pick it up. And in this case, it actually went to another Image Comics title and also written by Jason Aaron. This new series of mini-series, which is supposed to turn into this grand epic, Bug Wars, issue number 1 of 6 in the first story arc. I picked it up because it was there. There were 2 copies left at the store. A lot of people were saying it was good. This was basically my Twig moment, as well as my The Seasons moment that I had just a couple of weeks ago. This was a great book. And Feral was a great book, too. What a great way to conclude the second story arc. Both of these books are very different from each other. Both of them have different vibes, very unique, but definitely 2 of the best reads of that week, and I highly recommend those. So for the third week of February 2025, I was expecting it to go to Space Ghost, issue number 10, but unfortunately that book got pushed to the first week of March. This is still one of the best books out there right now from Dynamite Entertainment. David Pepose is just doing so many wonderful things, and clearly it's showing because he's going to be writing some more Dynamite titles in the upcoming months of 2025, which I am very, very excited for. So I'm still waiting for this issue to arrive. And it was also turning out to be a very small comic book haul week, so I wasn't really sure what my top pick was going to be. And to be honest with you, I'm happy with where it ended up because I don't talk about this book much. And my number 1 pick for the third week went to Josh Williamson's G.I. Joe issue number 4 over at Image Comics and the Energon universe. G.I. Joe has been one of those reads that I haven't been speaking about much just because of the fact that even though it's good, this is a fun, action-packed series, very reminiscent of the 80s cartoon, just with a little bit more mature action, but there's just so many other reads that are just as good, if not better. But I have been saying that the Energon universe has been one of the best universes out there. Josh Williamson and Robert Kirkman have been doing great alongside Daniel Warren Johnson over at Transformers. G.I. Joe was a blast. I had such a fun time with this book. This title has just been wonderful. And then we get to the final week of February of 2025. I ended up getting only 1 week correct, and I'm okay with that. I mean, as long as I get good reads, that's all that matters. And more importantly, if the reads that I thought were going to be number 1, as long as they're still good, that makes me happy as well. So I thought that it was going to go back to Image Comics and go to Rick Remender's The Seasons issue number 2. I loved issue number 1. I was really curious where this book was going. And this issue was just as fun, just as intriguing. Really excited to read issue number 3. But unfortunately, 1 book came and beat it out. And that still, to me, not unfortunate, just unfortunate for the book. But it's gone back to my number 1 book of 2025 right now, and it's over at the Ghost Machine universe, also in Image Comics. This is Peter Tomasi's Hornsby and Halo, issue number 4, part of the Family Odyssey storyline. This book is just so fun. This is all it is. Great artistry by Peter Schneeber, such a creative and clever story, lots of laughs, lots of action, lots of mystery. The more I read this story, the more I want to keep going. That's just how much I am loving this book. And again, I've said this so many times, I didn't expect this to be one of my favorite Ghost Machine reads, but it is. And there are some people that are loving it, and then there are some people that are not. But I still think that Hornsby and Halo is one of the best Ghost Machine titles. Issue number 4 was fun. Cannot wait for issue number 5. So what are we looking forward to in the month of March? Well, I'm expecting a lot of interesting things. There's a lot of big books coming out this month, but I'm still very much certain as to what my top picks are going to be. For the first week of March of 2025, I am going to be giving it over back to the Ghost Machine universe at Image Comics. I'm giving it to Jeff Johns' Hyde Street issue number 4 in the Ghost Machine universe. Another one of the titles I really didn't know I was going to love, but I absolutely love it. And there's so many other great titles coming out, particularly from Dynamite Entertainment, but we'll see. I still do feel that Hyde Street is just going to wow me, just like it has been up until this point. For the second week of March, it's a big haul week. I've got 15 books coming that week, and I've got everything from the new Space Ghost, the end of the 3rd arc of Transformers, as well as the 2nd issue of the miniseries Gatchaman Only One Earth over at Mad Cave Studios, as well as some big books in DC like Absolute Superman 5 and Aquaman number 3. But I'm going to be giving it to the final installment of Violator Origin over at Image Comics, issue number 6. This has been a very good read. I have not really been digging a lot of the new Spawn Universe titles. I've dumped a lot of them. But this miniseries, which basically gives me the Violator through time, this has been a very exciting read, and based on the cover, it looks like he is finally going to turn into the character that we all love, who Spawn encounters at the very beginning of his story back in 1992, and that, of course, is Clown. Very excited to see how this story unfolds. This has been a very, very good read. For the 3rd week of March, oh man, there's so many amazing books coming out. All the companies have something coming, and I have no idea how I'm going to feel about each and every one of them. But I am going to pull a book out of this bunch that you probably never would have expected. And it's only because of the fact that the creator has done wonders with a very similar concept. And it's the idea of a dark story based on a classic piece of literature. And that, of course, is over at Boom Studios, Dan Panosian's The Last Boy, issue number 1. He has done incredible things with Alice Ever After and Alice Never After, hoping for a 3rd installment over at Boom, but now he's taking on Peter Pan with a very interesting dark story about the boy who doesn't want to grow up. I am so excited to read this book. I really hope that it's good, and I know that Cammie over here at That's Comical is excited for this book as well. I think that this is going to be the big underdog of the week. And for the final week of March of 2025, I have so many books. I'm anticipating a couple of these things to change, but right now I've got a list of 23 books that I'm going to be picking up. Everything from the start of the 3rd arc of Feral to a brand new Absolute title over at DC with Absolute Martian Manhunter. I've got a new issue of Silverhawks, the new issue of The Seasons. I've got a new book from the 9th Circle over at Image Comics. And believe it or not, finally wrapping up the Wolverine Revenge story with issue number 5 from Jonathan Hickman. Oh, and also, the crossover you never knew you wanted over at Dynamite, Space Ghost Johnny Quest, Space Quest by Joe Casey. Cannot wait for that. But the book that I am going to be picking out of this bunch is from a creator that I have been praising over here on That's Comical, and so many of us here have been as well, and that is a brand new one-shot from Patrick Horvath, the creator of Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, over at Oni Press, a one-shot called Free for All. Have no idea what this is about, but I'm very excited to see what this is about because I love Patrick Horvath, I love Beneath the Trees, cannot wait for the follow-up to Beneath the Trees with Rite of Spring, have no idea when that's coming, but I'm excited for it, and I'm very excited to see him on a brand new project. So that is another Stats, Trends, and Picks video, everybody. Thank you very much for watching. Please leave your comments in the box below. Let me know what some of your favorite reads from February of 2025 were. Let me know if I missed anything. Let me know what you're looking forward to coming in March, and I will see you in the next one.